Think about how many times every single day people lie to themselves. They say, I'll do it tomorrow. It's a comforting thought, isn't it? Tomorrow is not guaranteed. You've been sold a lie that there's always more time, but the reality is harsh and unyielding. Every second you wait is a second you'll never get back. Every opportunity you pass up today might never come again. Right now, as you're reading this, someone else is taking the action you've been delaying. They're doing the work. They're building the life you're only dreaming about. And if you're not careful, they're going to take everything you want simply because they didn't wait. So ask yourself, what are you waiting for? What's stopping you from starting right now? The excuses you've been holding on to, they're not real. The fear you've let control you, it's an illusion. Today is the only day you have. This moment is the only moment you own. And if you waste it, you might never get another chance. It's time to stop dreaming about what could be and start creating what will be. The future doesn't belong to the idle. It belongs to the bold. It belongs to those who understand that there is no tomorrow. There is only today, only now, and only the choice to act. Think about how many times you've said, I'll start tomorrow. Maybe it was about getting in shape, starting a business, writing that book, or making amends with someone you care about. You told yourself you'd wake up feeling motivated, ready to tackle everything.
What's up, chat? So because I searched on YouTube for grind set videos once, now they start recommending me these videos that has an endless string of clips of Full Metal Alchemist and Hajime no Ippo and some fat guy losing weight.
You're teaching your mind that it's okay to settle, to push things off.
With like some AI generated text and speech of this like motivational, like work harder shit. Look how long the video is. It's an hour and a half.
It eats away at your potential, one moment at a time, until there's nothing left.
I'm not sure if the text repeats or not.
Dangerous word in the world.
I think someone just put into ChatGPT, I need grind set text.
Is where dreams go to die.
Now.
Tomorrow is the graveyard of opportunities.
I need
too scared to
30,000 words of it.
Don't let your dreams become casualties of your inaction. Don't let the lie of tomorrow steal your future. Be honest with yourself. Why haven't you started? What's holding you back? Maybe you're waiting for the perfect moment. You think you'll act when the timing is right.
It doesn't seem like it's repeating, like in terms of like the actual content of the speech.
But here's the reality. The perfect moment doesn't exist. Conditions will never be ideal. There will always be obstacles, doubts, and challenges. If you're waiting for the stars,
I'm starting to think that the manosphere is the true scammiest part of the internet, honestly. Like, it was initially for women, getting women to buy, I don't know, various bullshit face creams and stuff, but like, I think that men are overtaking the women, like we always do, because we're greater. I think men are more easy to get scammed for stupid motivational shit than women at this point. You just have to be like, your full potential. You're not reaching it unless you pay for my Become a Real Marine course or some shit like that. And then you get to go and have alpha males, quote unquote, yell at you for 6 days as you run around in the mud and stuff. And pay $10,000 for that. I only came here for the games that you rarely play. I played a little bit of video games last night. Somehow I didn't get any drawing done. I think the truth is that if you want to ever produce any manga, you don't get to play video games. That's just the way it is. I wish it wasn't that way, but sometimes you wish it don't be like that, but it do be like that. Oh, by the way, I finally figured out how to get the fucking various different forms of fill tools to work for me. Which I was like, no, it doesn't work, but it finally does work when I fix the fucking settings. Just need to be willing to double and triple tap it. There we go. The problem with this is that it means that there's less stuff I can do on stream because I'm not going to be painstakingly filling in shit manually as much. I kind of had given up on the bucket fill tool, and I was like, okay, the bucket fill tool isn't working. I should try the other fill tools, but it turns out it was the bucket fill tool that I should have been using all along. The reason I was getting it wrong was because I was using to refer to only editing layer and then not messing with the close the gap stuff. Also, I changed my drawing process a little to accommodate the bucket fill tool, but not much. I put in less detail during the inking phase, and then add detail after I bucket fill a little bit, so that I don't have to tap it as much. You figured out the masks? I mean, this isn't a mask issue. Masks is a different thing. I have been using masks every once in a while, but not that much. The problem was I wasn't using refer to all layers for the bucket tool. For anybody who doesn't draw or doesn't use Clip Studio Paint, my core issue was you have this, and if you go and you use the refer to only editing layer, you go like this, you get shit like this, like the anti-aliasing line. Look at this. And I thought that if I turn anti-aliasing off, it wouldn't be a problem, but it makes it even worse. And I was like, what the fuck? This tool fucking sucks. Why would anyone use this? So then everyone recommends like using this one, the fill in tool that is a downloadable asset. I was like, okay, this is probably the more advanced version, right? I can just use this instead. Yeah, that works. But then when I would try and use that for shit on my manga, sometimes it would work and sometimes it wouldn't work. But then I was like, okay, I can't use either. It's just too complicated for this computer to actually figure this shit out, what I want to do. But the answer was with the bucket tool all along. You just you make sure that the close gap is at maximum, then use a separate layer, and then make sure you're using the refer to other layers. And if you're using the refer to other layers version, there isn't any anti-aliasing like this if it's below the other layer. And the parts that don't get filled in, I just do it with a pen. That's good enough. I remember when I first started streaming, I was like, I need to download all the proper extensions and shit. I'm gonna make it as a streamer, guys. And then it was like, no. Streaming is probably the least efficient way to make money online. Especially live streaming on Twitch. It's like if someone said you wanted to become a farmer, they're like, oh, that's fine. And it's like, I not only want to become a farmer, I want to become a sharecropper. And I want to be forced to pay half of all of my earnings to Mr. Bezos, who owns the land. If someone said that, you'd be like, surely there are better ways to make money as a farmer. then giving all of your money to Mr. Bezos, and the person's like, no, sorry. It's a monopoly. You have to give Mr. Bezos all the money. Do you feel like you need the paper taped onto your tablet? A few days ago, I tried drawing without the paper. I mean, I used to draw without paper. So, it's certainly not required, but I tried drawing without paper a few days ago, and it just feels way better with paper. You just have way more control over your stop and starting when your lines... Like, you're physically... Your pen is digging into the paper to provide extra grip, so obviously it's going to feel better. Now, if you have a screen tablet, that means you have to buy probably a relatively expensive, some sort of proprietary or non-proprietary screen film that you can see through, but if it's a screenless tablet, you literally just put a piece of paper on it, so... They don't sell tablets with paper-like covers. They don't sell them with the covers. They try and make extra money as like DLC accessories. I don't know what's going on with the screen tablet world because I've never tried using one, but every time I hear about all the issues that screen tablets have, I'm so happy that I just have a disposable screenless version that's cheap as fuck. At least compared to what you're paying for like a top-of-the-line screen tablet. You basically are buying an entire gaming PC in terms of price to get a screen tablet if you're buying like a Cintiq or whatever. If I look at the prices right now, they're anywhere between $500 and $3,500. So fucking expensive. And then you have to worry about all your body position and how you're gonna be like hunched over it or not. So because it's a screen tablet, it has all the issues of like, what if there's a dead pixel on it, etc., etc. You have an XP Pen Deco? Yeah. Does it have one of those rough plastic covers? You mean like out of the box? It might have. I don't know. If it had something on it, I peeled it off. I don't think it has like some sort of proprietary film. You're supposed to attach to it. It might, but I didn't see in the box. I actually looked in the box a few days ago to see if it had something that I was supposed to attach, but it didn't, so that's why I'm just using copy paper. Man, this RPG music playlist fucking sucks. You can do better than this, YouTube. I feel like going screenless may pay off more in the long run, but I don't know. If you haven't bought a tablet yet, you should try buying a screenless tablet first and see if you can get used to drawing without a screen, because they're going to be way cheaper. And they have a lot of benefits besides being cheap. The reason why people have to use a screen tablet is because some people just don't feel comfortable with their hand on one location and their eyes on a different location. But as fellow gamers, we should have the skills required to be able to look at a different screen and then use our hands, move our hands independently of the screen. Okay, that shouldn't be that difficult. To be fair, I never had any period in which I had to get used to having a screenless tablet. I just immediately was able to use it without any real adaptation period. So it might just be like a thing that you either can do or can't do. Because I was able to do it immediately. It might also be a body posture thing. I draw with a laptop, looking at the laptop screen with the laptop directly on my hip. And I feel like having it like attached to my body and being close to my body sort of helps with feeling the connection to, I don't know, my hand movement in the screen. That might or might not be helping. I have tried drawing by looking at my second monitor, but I noticed that it's better for me to have a double monitor setup and then be staring at the laptop and then looking at the second monitor every like 3 or 4 seconds to check the general spacing of. So what I have is like I'm zoomed into this panel on this screen, and on my second screen I have a zoomed out image of the page at all times. So I flip back and forth, my eyes move back and forth between my first primary monitor and my larger second monitor. And not only does this help me maintain a view of like the general feeling of the page as a whole, but it also reduces eye strain because I'm looking at 2 different distances back and forth, so I'm not staring super hard at one location the entire time. So ever since I started doing that, I haven't had any kind of eye fatigue, which is a pretty big deal, obviously, if you're staring at a fucking screen for hours and hours and hours. How are we doing, boss? I took a day off last night. I usually do like about 7 hours of drawing during the night, but instead I did some video gaming. I was like, I worked hard this week, I'm allowed to play a small amount of video games, and then I played BaalBud for like 8 hours, and I'm like, fuck, well that wasn't a small amount. This is why I had it uninstalled from my PlayStation to prevent me from going on gaming binges, but I was like, whatever. So now I have to get back on the horse. If LeBron is the GOAT, then how come he has 2 rings less than MJ? Because MJ was extremely gift lucky in terms of both the talent of the competition around him at the time and the amount of good players he had on his team. If MJ is the GOAT, then how come when MJ quote-unquote retires to play baseball, and definitely not because he had a gambling addiction and David Stern was onto him. Then how come the Chicago Bulls are basically just as good without him, with Scottie Pippen as the main guy? Whereas when LeBron leaves the teams, then why do they immediately collapse and become the worst team in the league? Which happened multiple times with Cleveland. It's almost as if his teams had way less talent. Do not poke the bear on the 6-for-6 argument with BB Stick. I'm just saying that LeBron is way better than MJ, that's all. MJ lived in a soft era in which playing defense didn't require you to run a million miles. All you had to do was just hand check people. That's right. People think that hand checking was, it meant tougher defense. Wrong. It was actually way easier because you could just, like, whack people. You didn't have to run back up and down the court at all times. I was always more of a Kobe fan. Growing up in the 2000s, Kobe was, like, probably the most cultish of the fan bases. People just worship Kobe. And if we're going by, like, how much credit the guy gets versus how good he actually was, like, I feel like the largest discrepancy is between Kobe and his fans. Like, even at the time, people would be like, he did it! I feel like Kobe just, he activates the lizard brain part of sports fandom, in which, like, you imagine yourself in the driveway shooting the final shot of a game. It's like, why should I have to pass when I'm the best player on the court? That kind of feelings. Kobe was like peak hero ball. Nothing will ever make me stop laughing at Shaq singing Kobe How My Ass Tastes. Yeah, except Kobe was like way better off in terms of helping the Lakers organization. The Lakers were 100% validated for dumping Shaq when they had the opportunity, because Shaq, you know, he doesn't take care of his body, and he basically had 1 or 2 good years in Miami, and that was it afterwards, so... In terms of sheer athleticism, LeBron is a better athlete, but I do believe that MJ was better in terms of integrating with a team. He even managed to make Rodman respect him. I mean, LeBron is like a weird passive-aggressive guy, and MJ is aggressive psychopath, so it depends what works better at the time. I don't know if you could have the MJ personality in 2025 and actually, like, get shit to work well for you. Like, do you think modern Zoomers are gonna be like, "Aw, man, I sure loved it when MJ punched me in practice. It really motivated me to be a better teammate," like Steve Kerr was? I don't think that's how it would work. I mean, look what happened when Draymond punched Poole. It basically ruined the guy for, like, the next 3 years and stuff. LeBron also has this funny uniform. He lays down his uniform sock and shoes on the ground and making the other players walk around it. LOLOL. That's just LeBron passive-aggressively dominating the space. LeBron is like the ultimate passive-aggressive person, if you ask me. He doesn't actually read the books, he just walks around with the books in his hand to show how smart he is. He'll bitch about shit on Twitter, but he won't actually name names. Also, I'd just like to say that Kobe is like the ultimate proof that just because you're rich, you shouldn't use helicopters for transportation. If you're a billionaire, basically the only way in which you're gonna die before your time is if you start being like, I can really cut this commute in half by flying around in a helicopter, and then it fucking goes down. That and getting shot by Luigi, I guess. But there was another like Premier League team owner that died in a helicopter crash right around the same time as Kobe. Maybe it wasn't the same time, but like within 3 years of that, and I was just like, damn. This really is the only way for rich people to die before poor people because they have the best medical care. I think the fact he was a trash free thrower just makes him funnier. I'll never forget, I like read some sort of interview with like a shooting coach who improved like everybody's shooting for, and he was like, free throw shooting is just a matter of mechanics. You're in the same spot on the floor at the same time. There is zero excuse why Shaq can't be a better free throw shooter. You just do the same fucking motion every single time, and I'm like, you're right. You know what? You're 100% right. Shaq is a lazy fat fuck who refuses to do like the most basic parts of his job that he gets paid millions and millions of dollars to do. Fuck this guy. Also, I don't think Shaq is funny either. I think Shaq has a very much... There's a thing that people do, assholes do, that he's trying to pretend to be like a clown, but if you notice that whenever he's joking around about shit, the joke, he's never the butt of the joke himself. It's always someone else who he's making fun of. He pretends like he's just a silly little clown, but he uses humor to just emphasize how awesome he is. If you watch Inside the NBA, he literally never makes a joke at his own expense. It's always at everybody else's expense. I was just like, yeah, I'm fucking done with this guy. Free throw shooting is muscle memory. I cannot fathom being bad at it after a certain point. I mean, this is a guy who took time off during the season to get surgery, even though he knew he had to take surgery, and he had plenty of time to get surgery during the off season, and he was like, I got hurt on company time. I'm gonna rest on company time. So yeah, he can fuck off. Shaq is an asshole who people think is nice, and Charles Barkley is a nice dude who people think is an asshole. I think that's about right. Charles is just being honest about how he feels, but Shaq doesn't actually say what he feels. Instead, he'll try and... Shaq is also passive-aggressive, just like LeBron, in how he'll try and diffuse the situation with humor, but he'll never actually be willing to be the one who's the butt of the joke. I mean, all you need to do is listen to 10 minutes of Inside the NBA in which there's an MVP center playing, and he'll just... All you have to do is listen to Shaq's commentary on any game which Joel Embiid is saying, and he'll just be like, Embiid was playing okay, but what he really has to do is he has to go to the rack like I did. Shaq is incapable of talking about any other NBA player without talking about himself and how he was better about it. That's really all you need to know about Shaq. Also, another thing that people forget is Shaq wasn't particularly that good on defense. Pretty much every center is somewhat effective on defense because just by being tall in basketball and standing under the hoop acts as defense, but you know, he can't shuffle his feet very quickly, so I honestly think that he could be played off the floor if he was playing in 2025 as dominant as he was under the basket. Like, he would absolutely get torched by these high three-point shooting teams. How many rings you got? That's basically the argument for. It was the argument for everything for a while, but it almost seems like people have forgotten about the ring culture argument. I haven't heard much ring culture arguments recently. Maybe because we haven't had any repeat NBA champions in a while. Don't forget the submersible. Did anyone die in a submersible? Oh, that's right. I forgot. Yes. Ocean Gate. That's still the funniest shit. Dying in a helicopter is understandable because even if you're a billionaire, if you live in California, you can't escape the fucking traffic conditions. So it's understandable why Kobe would be like, fuck this, I have the money, I'm gonna use a helicopter. But literally nobody was making those guys in Ocean Gate go to see the Titanic, and yet they chose to. Very silly. With how close all the games have been during the playoffs, rings don't really seem to matter. I feel like we're at a point in the NBA. I wouldn't have said this last year, but this year with OKC and Indiana, I feel like we're definitely at a point where you can't just have like 3 really good players and then have a bunch of not as good role players and win. Like, the average talent of the league is way higher than it was in the era that Shaq was playing. If you look at like Indiana and stuff, basically every single one of their players from like 1 to 10 can dribble and shoot at a really high level, which I know this will like shock people, but was definitely not the case back in like 2002. Like, I get YouTube recommendations for old NBA Finals series and stuff, and like I was watching the 2004 Detroit versus Lakers series a little bit, and they were talking about how like Detroit was one of the most advanced defensive teams and shit, and I was like, okay, bless their soul, but literally every 5 seconds there's a sequence in which the Lakers are like open behind the 3-point line and people don't shoot because people literally couldn't shoot 3-pointers back then. Like, if one of those 2000 teams played a modern NBA team, they'd get fucking shot off the floor. If you watch the shot making that Indiana is making like right now, like even if you have like a half second of space, people are hitting threes. How the fuck did OKC get Hardenstein? There's a thing called the salary cap, you Nicky Bing Bong Nick fans. No, how can this be? It's because you're paying like 4 max players, dumbass. They don't have the salary cap space to re-sign him. I know there's the salary cap, oof. I mean, the good part about this is that like the Celtics are going to have to disassemble their fucking team, so we don't have to deal with that bullshit like 5-man lineup anymore. I hated the era of Durant on Golden State in which they had like so much fucking talent because the salary cap went up. I 100% support the second apron. It makes everything more interesting. OKC has so many good players. We won't say that, though, if they actually lose in, like, the finals to Indiana or something. I don't think they're going to lose to the Wolves, obviously, but... I mean, what are you going to do? They were right about the draft so many times. Like, you can't be like... You can't punish them for being super smart about their picks and drafting correctly multiple times. The combo of getting both Hardenstein and Caruso, both of them, is pretty fucking devastating, honestly. Especially when Caruso can, like, single-handedly swing games by, like, playing the insane amounts of defense. OKC struggling against Minnesota is shocking. I mean, they still won, so... You don't blow a team out by just, like, straight up sweeping them 4 games to nothing unless they're, like, actually bad. And Minnesota isn't actually bad, so it's not surprising that they were able to get 1. But, yeah. I don't think, I think this is a 5 game series. Pretty obviously. Ant still isn't really there, honestly. He's like halfway there, and there's always like moments where he looks unstoppable, but like he doesn't really have the passing gene that the other more dominant players of previous eras had, like LeBron and Steph, like where he knows exactly where everybody else is on the court. That one dad guilt-tripped his son who didn't want to go. Imagine you're the son of, like, what is it, a Pakistani or an Indian billionaire, and you're fucking set for life. And then your boomer dad is like, come on, son, we'll have an amazing experience where we go to the bottom of the ocean. And then you get fucking vaporized. The thing is, even if Ocean Gate didn't vaporize everybody inside it, it still would have been boring as fuck. Like, what is it? It's like a 10-hour ride to the bottom, so you can see a little bit of, like, sunken ship and be like, whoa, that's so amazing! It's just like the movie, yay! The highest and lowest places on the planet are basically just like tourist attractions for super rich people at this point. And also space as well. And going to those locations, just all it says is that I have a shit ton of money and I'm willing to sit in a slightly uncomfortable seat for a while as this startup like company takes me there, and hopefully I don't die. Did you see that there were a bunch of British climbers who climbed Mount Everest in like a few days using xenon gas so they didn't have to acclimatize to the high altitude or some shit? I swear to God, everything is getting better in terms of technology, and as a result, everything is getting worse. I know this is like the most boomer fucking opinion, but it really is true. The greatest struggle of Everest is waiting in line like it's a fucking Disneyland attraction so you can summit. If you're that wealthy, would rather do Blue Origin. I'd rather do some like insanely fucked up shit in Dubai. Why don't people just parachute to Mount Everest? Why don't they? Just hack Mount Everest, guys. A recent record-breaking Sherpa climbed his 31st time. We don't talk about them. It's important to remember the real heroes. The white people who paid $80,000 to have a Sherpa carry their shit up the mountain. We do not talk about records set by Sherpas, okay? Those things don't matter. World records are for white people only. It's literally their job, like, get in line. It's literally like if we were keeping a record of the number of times people got on the Disney Space Mountain ride or some shit like that. And the person who held the record was the Disney World employee who has to, like, maintain the track, and it's his job to ride the Space Mountain every single day or some shit like that. I would rather spend my money on having my own airliner and backyard runway like John Travolta. That is a good question. Like, if you were obscenely, meaninglessly rich, like so many people on the planet are right now because the US government refuses to properly tax the rich at this point, what would you actually want to spend your money on? I actually had to do this exercise in 5th grade. They wanted to get kids to get a grasp of how much money was, so they were like, you have to set up a specific spending plan for $1 million. So as a kid, like, you don't know what shit costs, so you just start thinking about stuff that you wanted, and you're like, oh man, I really want a Game Boy. That's only, like, you know, $80. What the fuck? I still have so much money. What the fuck? I'll buy a Game Boy for all of my classmates. Holy shit. It's pretty funny how much $1 million bought you back in, like, 94. And if you had the brain of a child, then you didn't know, like, what shit was actually expensive. Whereas if you gave it $1 million to a person in 2025 and you're like, cool, that's like 50% of a house. You can almost pay off your mortgage, guys, with $1 million. If you're in San Francisco, that's like 1/4 of a mortgage. If I were a billionaire, I'd just not work and take a fucking nap. Well, they do that all the time. But after a while, they get tired of not working, and then they have to start pretending like how hard they're working, like Elon Musk sleeping under his desk at the Tesla factory. As if him staying overnight at the Tesla factory is getting shit done. You become a professional pretending like I'm getting shit done person. Five-year-old ball, Game Boy games, Sonic, Pokemon the movie on VHS. It was all we wanted. It was a simpler, more honorable time. 1/4 of a mortgage, maybe for a studio apartment. Now, let's not be so fatalistic. Surely I can find a San Francisco real estate prices map. San Francisco neighborhood home price map compass. See, if I just check out Outer Richmond in San Francisco, the median house sales price is an extremely affordable $1,800,000. Home ownership in some of the most expensive parts of the country is well within reach, guys. If I want a house in Forest Hill Extension, the median house sales price is only $2,127,000. Yeah, the median house price barely goes above $2.5 million in San Francisco. So, yeah, I don't see what the big deal is. Obviously, this includes, like, broom closets, condos that have, like, 5 foot of square space to live in, but it's very affordable, if you ask me. The tax rate is hardly to blame for the economic situation of most Americans. It hardly matters to tax Elon another 30%. If your income is low, cost of living is outrageous, inflation constantly outpaces wage increases. You know that there's a lot of rich people besides Elon, right? And most of them don't have to pay much taxes because they get to... Like, what Elon does is... I don't understand how the accounting works, but what they do is they take their money and they go into debt versus themselves. Like, when I heard about this, it would blew my fucking mind. Like, instead of having savings and wealth and stuff like that, they're all in debt. But who are they borrowing money from? Themselves, apparently. So then they don't have to pay taxes because they're losing money or some shit like that. I was just like, what the fuck is this? So anybody who's like, yeah, the rich are not the problem for America being fucked up, it's like, actually not taxing rich people is a huge problem of America's current situation, but whatever. The market gains tax rate is like way lower than properly working a job, so how is that not self-money laundering? It's not self-money laundering because it's not illegal. And the reason why it's not illegal is because rich people lobby the government for millions and millions of dollars every year to make sure that it doesn't become illegal. Because then they would lose lots of money. I mean, Ross Perot, if we're going back to when I was a kid, literally ran for president based on a flat tax because he didn't want to pay money on all the money he had. He didn't want to pay taxes, so I was like, you know, it'd be great if we had a fucking flat tax and I wouldn't have to pay on this shit. And he didn't win, but he was willing to waste like millions and millions and millions of dollars on a presidential campaign because if he actually won, he would have saved a shit ton of money. The ironic part is that in 2025, Ross Perot kind of seems like a saint compared to the kind of the stupid money shit that Trump is doing. Like, Ross Perot didn't have a shit coin that he was selling to people for billions of dollars. Rich people don't have rules, they live, yeah. The funny thing is that despite everything about rich people being like untouchable, the one place in which they are kind of touchable is communist China. Because while the Communist Party membership is also rich, like, nobody is safe from getting put in prison and stuff if Xi Jinping doesn't like you. Same thing for Russia. The ironic part is like these autocratic hell states are the only place in which rich people actually are accountable for stuff they do, although it's just like whether they're accountable to the dictator or not. It's pretty funny if you think about it. Like, if you're a Chinese billionaire, you're literally escaping to America where you're safe from everything, because if you're in China, at some point, Xi Jinping can be like, nah, fuck your wealth, you ain't untouchable at all, and can send you to fucking prison for corruption or some shit. Negative 9,099 social credits, except this is something that I think China would actually support, because they want to pretend like they're still like a quote-unquote communist country. So being like, yes, we don't allow fat cats to exploit the common working man is something that Xi Jinping actually gets behind. Because when they do jail all these people, they're like, he's solving corruption and blah blah blah, you know. I can't figure out the drapery of this shirt. China's National Socialist with a splash of red paint. Hitler would love modern China. I don't think any autocrat loves any kind of dictatorship in which they don't get to be the dictator, though. I mean, ultimately the goal is for you to be in power, so I don't think it really matters what kind of ideology is behind the system, because ultimately it just comes down to whether you get to be the boss or not. The U.S. alone has 1,000 billionaires. You think that might be too many rich people? I don't know. No, surely we don't have to increase taxes. The funny thing is, the U.S. national debt is 100% a problem that could be solved easily if they just cut Social Security by a little bit, cut some of the welfare programs for the old people a little bit, actually tax rich people by a little bit, cut military spending by a little bit. But literally none of the politicians are ever willing to vote for that shit because there's still so many old people. And of course they get shit tons of money lobbying from the rich people. Your brain chemistry changes after you pass a certain income. It's not quite sociopathy, but something akin to it. I don't think it does, actually. I think there's plenty of poor people who are just as money grubbing. I actually think that rich people just get richer without having to do anything, just based on the power of interest. So it's just like they're just automatically getting interest in getting more richer and richer in the background. Like, I don't necessarily think they have to try and get richer. I mean, most of them were already born into wealth, right? And then they have all these trust funds and stuff, and your dad is like, hey, you should try investing. It's like, okay. And like, the system is just rigged in a way in which it's extremely hard to fail, because just the way the money works is that once you have money, it just sort of it builds on itself and keeps on getting more and more and more. And it doesn't matter whether you're, being greedy or not. There was a time in which you had to be greedy to make more money, but not anymore. I think it just is automatic. Military spending is the problem. Social welfare spending saves money. You could say that military spending is a form of social welfare by giving a job to retarded people who are willing to go get their heads blown off in the Middle East. We're giving a place for violent people to get their violent tendencies out on foreigners. That's not how it actually works in real life, because eventually you retire from the military and then you have a violent person with like 30 ARs at home, so... I remember the artist Ai Weiwei was slapped with economic crimes. Let's see if I can draw Xi Jinping from memory. Looks a little different. Can't remember what kind of hair he had. I think it's like parted like this. I mean, this is close enough, right? All world problems would be solved if Winnie the Pooh was real and in power. We definitely have basic income. It costs millions of dollars to drop a bomb on a Toyota in Syria. Most of that money disappears from the economy. Yeah, but that shit is sweet. As a fellow American patriot, I must support awesome Predator drones. I have learned to love my country by playing many hours of Call of Duty. I could never take away the joy of bombing other people in other countries without any kind of legal restrictions. No Red Note account. Apparently, there are Chinese people who translate my manga and upload it in Chinese. I've seen it on eHentai and stuff, so... The thing is, you know what's interesting is that I have seen zero interaction between Japanese people and my manga at any point. Japanese people truly have no sort of connection to anything English on the internet. They are completely hopeless when it comes to doing anything on the English side of the internet. Nobody fucking knows who I am over there. Japanese truly is the farthest language from English, I think. Just based on how Japanese people interact with English content. Try adding a Japanese hashtag? Nah, it's okay. Because I'm trying to go pro in Japan, so I want to keep my English and Japanese internet presences divorced from each other. It'll make it easier to go pro when I have... It can be awkward if I'm going to be published by the same publishing company and then the people scrub my internet account and I've drawn like 10,000 pictures of Nami horse porn or something like that. Luckily, Oda-sensei doesn't care, but... Don't Japanese love Western media, though? Yes, Western media that has been properly translated for them. What I'm saying is that Japanese people are so bad at English, they can't just browse the American or English parts of the internet, which is a lot of the internet. Because their English skills are so low, they just can't go over there. Like, the Japanese have no idea what the English-speaking parts of the internet is talking about. Maybe even more so than, like, Chinese people accessing American parts of the internet, and the Chinese people literally have a fucking firewall. That's how bad the Japanese English literacy level is. Did you see the Texas bill that could potentially ban anime, manga, etc.? You just have to get a VPN. Is this the same bill that they were using to ban your porn access? Ultimately, it doesn't matter. You shouldn't be living in Texas to begin with. Law enforcement definitely isn't going to be spending time going after people for their anime collection. So... I go on Red Note when I need to bed rot, and China does seem kind of lit. Do you browse laying flat content on the Chinese internet while you also lay flat? Seems like the ideal way to spend your weekends. Seeing the accounts of demotivated Chinese young people who have no jobs, and then being like, they're just like me. My kindred spirits. VPN lobbyist. This stream is sponsored by NordVPN. I mean, if you want to look at porn in America, there might come a day in which you literally have to get a VPN no matter what state you're in. Because both the left and the right seem to be like, this is our chance to ban porn right now, so... This fucking country, man, I swear. The politicians just can't stop going all in on their stupid fucking puritanical tendencies to camouflage the fact that they have, like, you know, pedophile parties on Epstein Island every day. Don't you need to get the yogurt bacteria to make yogurt, though? I don't think you can just let milk rot to make yogurt. I'm not reading the comments, and I don't think you actually said that, but I feel like that's something like I do. I'm just gonna let my milk expire, and it will become yogurt. Am I right, fellow yogurt consumers? I was eating a ton of yogurt a while ago because I was trying to combat my hemorrhoids, but then it was making my shit too soft, actually. a delicate balance. You want your shit to be softer, but you don't want it to be too soft. Right now I've been using, what do you call it? Not hemp seed. What kind of oil was it? Flaxseed oil, which also softens. It doesn't soften your stool, it kind of actually bunches it together and makes it easy for shitting. That being said, I still haven't really solved the hemorrhoid issue. I have to call up the doctor. I've been procrastinating on this because I have to do two things. I first have to consult my fucking stupid fucking health insurance to make sure that I'm using it correctly so I don't suddenly get like a $5,000 bill. To see if I can go to see a proctologist specialist without seeing to a primary care physician first. And then I have to go to a doctor and they have to, like, you know, do something about the hemorrhoid, but this is why I've been procrastinating, because, like, I know that it's going to be a pain in the ass. Let someone look at your ass already? Ugh, it's such a pain. I don't know. It's because I go through, like, these periods in which my ass is fine. So I'm like, it's good. The problem has been solved. And then it's like, no, it hasn't been solved. I was wrong. I have made another mistake. Get the bloody hemorrhoids removed. I see the ass lobby is once again trying to gaslight me about trying to convince me that having shitloads of blood pour out of my asshole every day is bad for me. But you can't trick me. I know it's perfectly natural to have the toilet bowl stained red from the amount of rectal bleeding that happens all the time. No one will convince me otherwise. Yeah, I have to get that shit looked for. They probably have to. Probably has to be surgically removed, unfortunately. But this is America that we're talking about, so I've been, you know, procrastinating because I don't want to have to deal with insurance and stuff. I actually changed my insurance specifically for this purpose this year because I knew I would have to go to a doctor regarding this shit. So, and it's been like 5 months, almost 6 months now, and I haven't done anything. This is probably not the right approach you should have to health issues, especially if you have like cancer or something and you're like, nah, it's okay, I'll get it checked out in 3 months, and then you just die. So, but there's so many like little shit that happens to your body where you're like, should I get that checked out? It's like, nah, we'll ignore it for a little bit. Like the other day I slept in a weird position with like my arms in a weird position and they were all tingly when they got up, and then I went running and I was like, yeah, that was a temporary situation. And when I was running, my arms got tingly again and I was like, wait, it's been an hour, am I having a fucking stroke? My fingers are going numb and I'm like checking Google for like the hypochondriac information, being like, wait, what are the symptoms of a stroke? Losing sensation in fingers. And it's like, this could mean a lot of different things. You could have pinched a nerve. You could be having a stroke. And I'm like, okay, I'm probably not having a stroke, but I don't know. And it went away after a while, so I was not having a stroke. But this is the problem with your body. Shit can always go wrong, and it can be like a million different things, and it could be like super serious, but then again, it could be nothing. And if you go to the emergency room every time something might be super serious, you're gonna use all of your fucking money because it cost you $1 million just to go to the emergency room once. So you are gonna outlive us all based on your healthy lifestyle and out of pure spite. On my mother's side, she has an older sister that is 10 years older than her. So her older sister is like 87 or something right now. And her entire life, her older sister has been basically on death's door. She has some sort of like insane allergies and like heart issues and stuff like that, where if she eats any kind of oil, this my older aunt she'll just straight up die, and yet she's still alive. So, you know, who knows how this shit works out. One time I slept on the floor and one of my thighs was numb for days. Wow, it really makes you think we shouldn't have intense bondage sex if it can constrict our nerves like that. Imagine how bad it would be if you have your dominatrix tie you up in your Japanese traditional art of bondage, shibari, and have you hanging from the ceiling from ropes. That's like, it pinched a nerve, I feel bad. How could this happen? Top 3 sex outfits. Bunny girl competitive swimsuit. Office lady. Office lady train Chicana roleplay. I was talking earlier this stream, what would I use my money for? If I was a billionaire, I know what I'd do. I'd use it to like buy a train car and put it in a warehouse, and then hire a bunch of extras so I can reenact Office Lady Chicana roleplay with my wife or something. Best Buy polo. LMAO. Nothing gets my dick harder than the Geek Squad girls, am I right? Fellow electronics consumers. You know how there's cabin attendant, stewardess JAVs? I'm pretty sure that's an actual fucking plane. Well, I can't tell. I really can't tell, actually. I cannot tell if they have like a plane set or they're actually chartering a flight or something, because it looks like just like a straight up 747 in terms of its size. Maybe they have like some sort of old used plane set that they got from the film industry or something, and it's parked on a lot somewhere. But I cannot figure how they shoot the stewardess sex videos in JAVs. It would be much easier to understand if it was just like that one pool in JAVs where it's literally one guy's pool, and it's just like in one indoor pool that is obviously being rented out for every single, you know, swimsuit video in JAVs. But I cannot for the life of me figure out how they're doing the plane shoots. They have plane sets, influencers use them for photo shoots. I mean, I know they have plane sets, but I don't know if the JAVs had access to them, but I guess maybe there's like a filming company that they can rent out the plane set. What is the context of this comic and when will it be published? You should check my Twitter for the previous chapters of this comic. It will be published when it's done, which will not be anytime soon because it's 45 pages and I'm working on page like 15 of 45, so there's still a ways to go, unfortunately. It will involve explicit, intimate connections. Check my Twitter. You can you can read chapters 1 through 3 and decide whether you're interested or not. How's grinding? It's coming along. I'm actually getting way more efficient and figuring out which pens and stuff I want to use and how to use some of the Clip Studio Paint tools that I was not properly utilizing and stuff. So everything's going faster, but it's still manga making is very slow. It's imagine something that takes way too much time. Well, it takes even more time than that. It's shocking that these manga artists can pop out 4 books per year. That's crazy if you think about it. Weekly serialized manga is basically like the pinnacle of human achievement in terms of like being able to produce an entire story and the graphics of the story and everything, and then do it on a week-by-week basis. It's fucking insane. Manga making is very slow. While average mangaka spits a chapter a week, they don't. They're not average mangaka. Weekly, it's thought that weekly mangaka is normal, but it's not. It's only the top of the top of the top. You're taking people who love drawing more than anything in their life and have practiced drawing their entire life, and then grinding them to pieces where they get like depression and fuck up their back and stuff like that. It's like if we ask like professional athletes, like a triathlon athlete or a marathon runner, to be like, okay, now just keep on running and just run until they just break down and can't run anymore for like years. Are we talking about art school? Art school has nothing to do with this conversation. And you can be happy knowing I will consume all your work in 5 minutes for free. Yes. This is why the Japanese publishing company keeps on shutting down piracy sites. And then Americans are like, no, how can this be? Why can't I read the manga for free? I'm helping promote it on the internet by talking about it. How dare you shut down my piracy? Meanwhile, Togashi's spine has snapped in half from being attached to his desk for the last 30 years. And then Americans are like, you ungrateful bastards! I was reading your comic on my piracy website. How dare you! Scantilations help spread the message of manga. You should appreciate my piracy. Just wondering because I heard depression. I don't know if art school students are depressed anymore. I feel like they're all like professional bullshitters. Please support the artist by purchasing a copy. My favorite one is do not repost and upload to the internet at the end of every single doujin, as if that's going to stop anybody. It's almost as if when you publish a black market Genshin Impact porn, there's no way to protect your rights as a IP holder because you're not an IP holder because you're drawing, because what you're drawing is also an infringement on intellectual property. school students are usually depressed after graduating and not finding jobs. You can always work at Starbucks, my friend. You'll be right at home. I remember I was an art minor and I had to take art history 2 or some shit like that. And literally the class was like about 40 people and there were only 2 men in it. Me and one guy who was extremely, extremely gay. He was like super giga gay. I was just like, yeah. I don't know what all these white women are doing taking art history, but I guarantee a large percentage of them have seen Mona Lisa smile. So 2 gay guys. I'm probably the most straight male that you've ever met. Don't get into arts and expect to have a job. To be fair, you can expect to not have a job in a variety of other stuff as well, but the gay guy in the art history course was like a short, portly Latin American guy who was already balding despite being in his 20s, and he wore like tight pants and I don't know, scarves and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure my gaydar isn't very good, but I'm gonna assume this guy is gay. Something about him is giving me the vibes that he might possibly be gay. Turns out he was super straight and been a major pussy slayer. I had a period in my life when I was like, maybe this guy who dresses and is coded super gay is actually not gay, because that would be too obvious. But every single time I was like, he's behaving so gay, maybe he's actually straight. Every single time I thought that, when I would actually confirm with him whether he was gay or not, he would always be gay. So I was like, okay, they're just gay. That's just the way it is. They're making it obvious for a reason. Oh, I also did Japanese to English translation, and basically everybody in Japanese to English translation besides me is also gay as well. Like the most famous Japanese translators are all gay. My professor at my college was gay. I don't know about the other students, but the professor was definitely gay. Because he was translating gay literature and he said he was gay, so there's no question about that part. I always have difficulty trying to figure out how much boobage I want to give Aubrey, because realistically you can't see the boob shape through stuff like kimono. It just doesn't work if we're drawing realistically, but that's not fun, right? So I always give her boob shape because she has boobs. But the question is how much? Why do you think that is? Is translator an inherently gay-oriented job? Don't ask me. Maybe everything involving thinking is gay. I don't know. As men, we just go outside and smash shit with rocks. And anybody who isn't like, I am Grug, I smash rock with other rock. I hunt antelope. Anybody who's like, maybe we should not smash the rock, they're probably gay. Low test. Effeminate female man. You're not a real man. Grok see antelope. Grok draw antelope with mud on cave wall. Grok see female. Grok draw image of female. Sexo on cave wall. This is the real artist. AI can never replicate the purity of the caveman. A lot of foreign literature has gay, lesbian themes, so a lot of queer people seek it out and often end up in that line of work. We should only read strong, masculine, heterosexual literature like Hemingway. As an American man, I only read books about being a powerful sailor and drinking lots of alcohol and hunting stuff in Africa and dying. You wouldn't understand females in chat. It's a manly thing. Now excuse me while I focus on my alcoholism. I consider myself super effeminate. I love Hemingway. Apparently you're not allowed to use the term effeminate if you're actually a woman. Then you're just feminine. Effeminate is for us men only. I once read the testimony of a man inspecting Goethe's dead body. My guy was about to bust a nut every single sentence. Goethe has a lot of weird energy associated with him. I went to a Rudolf Steiner school, so I had to read a bunch of Goethe shit. A lot of, like, fancy pansy stuff about the soul and light and stuff like that when you get into the Goethe zone. Can we just read books that's interesting to read? I swear schools in general just makes reading boring if they choose certain books that most students would scoff at reading. Yes, we should only read interesting stuff like my isekai elf sister refuses to suck my dick because I'm the reincarnated demon lord. Volume 5. No, you will read Dostoevsky and you will like it. You will read Moby Dick and you will like it. There is no choice. You have to learn to become a man by reading a 500-page book about hunting a whale. It's good to have a national consensus of shit you were forced to read. Like, I don't know, Animal Farm in 1984. So when you go on Twitter and you read about some Karen not getting her Burger King drive-thru order filled properly, and she says it's literally 1984, You can be like, cool, someone is once again claiming something is 1984 literally when it is, in fact, literally not 1984. Also, we should make kids read the Scarlet Letter to remind women what they get if they're a harlot. They must be shamed. I haven't actually read Scarlet Letter. That was in the reading list of my high school on the American side when I was in Japan, so I actually missed Scarlet Letter. Femboy Demon Lord is my part-time. Konbini Boss is my favorite Goethe work. Yes. Goethe was very ahead of his time. To be fair, Faust is kind of like some isekai shit to it. I already did a comic about this, but if Mephistopheles was a sexy girl and Faust was like, I don't care about, I forgot her name, the female that shows up in the story. I don't care about her anymore. Mephistopheles, you're the only female I actually want. And she was like, Baka, I'm just a demon. I can't be your sweetheart. Then we'd have a perfect anime content. What was that woman's name? I keep on forgetting. Not that I want to spend a bunch of my brain cells remembering content regarding Faust. Oh, Gretchen, that's right. Faust really had the wrong idea. He really should have just been like, Mephistopheles, I want you to turn into a female now. Well, Marguerite, Gretchen was a pet name. Yeah, they use both apparently. It's been a while since I read any Goethe. Not that I give a fuck. Probably one of the less interesting of these kind of classic literature shit that you're forced to read, I would say. I cannot believe Faust couldn't wish for the Devil-chan instead of his childhood friend. I feel like deep down, any sort of anime or manga that involves devil summoning, the devil has to be the primary girl. Takashi Rumiko set this up with Ramu-chan back in the day. If you have like a feisty supernatural being type girl, she has to be the primary female. Especially if you're somehow like magically bound to the main character, then it's just like, there's no other option. I mean, how would you feel if you were reading Oh My Goddess and what's his name, MC, was like, I'm done with Belle Dandy? You'd be like, what the fuck? Luma is truly the greatest love interest and greatest cock block. Literally blocking your penis by electrocuting you to death. As she says, dacha. I have not actually consumed much Urusei Yatsura content, so I was interested to find out that she was like one of the sub characters instead of like one of the main characters until she became too popular. You know you've won when one of your sub characters becomes so popular they have to become the main character. That means the manga has taken on a life of its own. God fucking damn it, this arm angle is wrong. This should... I always fuck shit up when I'm drawing on while I'm trying to chat. It has to... I even did a rough draft and it's already wrong. Because the ribcage should be like right here, so... It has to go like way up in terms of angle. Even a little bit more, actually, like this. This is why usually on stream I only do stuff like fill in the grays and blacks and shit, because anything that requires slightly more brain power I tend to fuck up. Once you've read some Urusei Yatsura, you've read most of it. Once you've read pretty much any of Takashi Rumiko's works, once you've read a little bit of it, you've read most of it. Like, do you really need to read 5,000 volumes of Inuyasha where they're like, oh, we found Naraku, we're on to him. Oh, no, we missed him, he's leaving. Looks like we didn't get Naraku again. A lot of this comes from being serialized in Shonen Sunday, which is notorious for forcing their most popular authors to continue the works to make them go on forever. I mean, we have Detective Conan at volume like literally 110 or something right now, so that gives you a general idea of how long this shit is forced to go on. Like, I'm pretty sure the magazine just straight up is like, Takahashi Rumiko, you have to continue this forever. We're trying to make money here. And she's like, fine, I'm good. It takes a special kind of ballsiness, like, to be like the Demon Slayer author, to just be like, yeah, nah, I'm ending this because I feel like it's ending. The story needs to end, so I'm gonna end it. And I'm sure the Shonen Jump editors were like, no, please. Please don't end Demon Slayer, it's so popular. And the author was like, ah, no, still ending it. Apparently when Toriyama wanted to end Dragon Ball after he had already wanted to end it during the Cell Saga and they forced him to continue it, they had to have like a huge meeting between both the editors and like outside companies and shit who were relying on the popularity of Dragon Ball and various stuff. Because it was literally like a company being like, we're going to stop producing this product that is supporting, you know, a shit ton of people, so they don't just let you end your series even if you want to. Meanwhile, if you're even the slightest bit unpopular, then say goodbye to your fucking series, because then they will end it immediately. It's a pretty brutal industry. Do people still like Conan? Like there's some Oji-san out there who's been reading it for 40 years? I'll give you a hint. If there's ever some kind of manga property where you're like, why is this thing still going on? Who is supporting it? There's always like one obvious answer, and the answer is always women. Women are reading it. Women have attached themselves to certain ikemen in the Conan franchise, and there's all this like yuri yaoi, not yuri, just yaoi, coupling bullshit, and women going to the movies, women buying the goods. It's all women. If you're like, why is this bicycle racing manga going on for 60 volumes? Again, it's women. My sister's an ardent fan. See, there you go. Recently, the voice actor of Amuro, both the Amuro in the Gundam sense and Amuro in the Conan sense, it's the same fucking guy. In fact, the Conan Amuro is supposed to be the Gundam Amuro. In famous Ikemen voice. It turned out that he was using his Ikemen voice powers to have an affair and shit like that. And this mind fucked a lot of the Japanese female nerds who are like, no! My character is being used so that this old guy can have affairs. No, I don't know what to do. So a lot of women lost their mind over it. It was pretty funny. Don't the Conan movies come out during Golden Week? Yeah, because Japan is a Galapagos, as we call it, ecosystem. Conan movies frequently outsell like Avengers Endgame and shit. Just all the women showing up. It's all very silly. Good for him, to be honest. It's just an old guy doing old guy shit. Old guy using his Ikemen voice for evil. My sister has just inherited my parents' fanaticism for crime stories. Oh, okay. She's the more normal kind of degenerate. The person who wants to see people get murdered every single time they go on vacation. Average Conan vacation, just be like, we got these free tickets to this local hot springs. Surely we can go on this vacation without any kind of murders occurring. Am I right? My daughter and this random elementary school student who is living in my house. And then they go to the hot spring and it's like, huh. I can't believe someone has been stabbed within 2 days of us getting here. There was no signs of that thing happening. I like how in Conan they started acknowledging that there were too many murders were happening around the main detective guy, and they started calling him like, is he cursed or something? And then even the breaking the fourth wall moment of like too many murders are happening around the protagonist became too much to support, so now they don't even acknowledge that. It's pretty funny how like all of the characters have to scream in horror every time they see a body when it literally happens every single time they go anywhere. It is especially bad when you think about how everything in Detective Conan up until now has apparently happened within a year. Yeah, they have different seasonal segments, like where they go to the winter hot spring, they go to the spring cherry blossoms and stuff, and it's been through like 10 years worth of cycles, and yet it's supposed to be happening within like a year or 2 years or some shit like that, because if it wasn't, then Conan would be getting old, right, and he'd be growing up, so that doesn't make sense. In order to maintain the fourth wall on some part of the story, you have to break other parts of the fourth wall. And it's just expected that you don't question this shit. I mean, if Conan was 6 or whatever, he's a first-year elementary school kid. I can't remember, 6 or 7. In what, like 96 or something? By now he'd be in his fucking 30s. If he just grew up. How many people have been murdered in Detective Conan? 200, 300, I guess. There's like 100 volumes. There's multiple murders in many cases, but usually one, I guess. And there's usually, I don't know, more than one case per volume, unless it's a long one. So we're talking probably in the 200 range. I bet the... Let's see if Grok AI knows this specifically. This is a real good test of Grok AI. How many people have died total in Detective Conan over the many manga series volumes? Actually, that's not limited to manga because there's an anime which has extra murders. Estimating the total number of deaths in Detective Conan is tricky due to its long run and lack of a definitive up-to-date count across all media. Okay, Grok is shit. However, based on available data, here's what we know. They're basically just checking message boards. AI is fucking worthless. A 2016 post on X reported 453 deaths up to manga volume 74. YouTube sources mention about 505 cases in the series. Yeah, see, this is why AI is just fucking worthless. It's just a different version of searching the internet. It doesn't actually have any real information. So if somebody hasn't talked about it on the fucking Reddit thread in 10 years ago, they don't even have a number. Let's actually go on Google JP. Conan Shibo Ninzu. Oh, I found someone up-to-date version on X for 2024. Japanese blog. See, Grok can't check the Japanese sides of the internet. But if you go on the Japanese version of the internet, you get an entire blog that was updated for 2024. So the manga, they're saying the total is 368 as of 101 volume. For anime, it's 301 up to anime volume 599. If we go for movies, we're saying 67. If we're doing video games and separate authors for separate magazines, then we get to 1,500. The Beika area that in which Conan lives has 30 times the murder rate of Venezuela, 6,000 times the murder rate of normal Japan. Which, I don't know if that says a lot about Japan being extremely safe, or Venezuela being extremely dangerous, or Conan area being crazy. All of this seems like weird numbers right here. And now they separate all the different deaths by category. So being beaten to death, Bludgeoning, 48. Jesus Christ, they actually went through literally every single murder. Being choked to death, 46. Stabbed, 40. Suicide, 33. Shot, 33. Poisoning, 31. Extreme gruesome deaths, like decapitation. Oh, I guess they're separating slashing deaths and puncture wound deaths for different types of slash. So this is like getting your head cut off and shit, or getting sliced, and that's different from getting stabbed. Falling to your death, 19. Traffic deaths, 14. Drowning, 13. Accidents, 12. Getting burned to death, 11. Sickness, 10. 4 people died from starvation. Blood loss. 3 people died from getting blown up. 2 people died from poison gas. You'd think there'd be a little more than that. People who died from sickness while being killed. Electrocution, only 2. Also, only 2 people dying from natural causes. Suffocation, 1, which I guess they're, this is someone who was killed by being kept in a vacuum in volume 89. Dehydration, 1, getting crushed. I can't even... This person is... He's really separating the different types of death to specifically. Decapitation was the very first murder. Man was beheaded with a piano string and a roller coaster. Yeah. Imagine you were going on your first date with your girlfriend, and like you come out of the tunnel and there's literally someone's head fucking has been cut off and blood is going everywhere. Straight up Conan mass murder events. I believe the first Conan movie is about this guy who wants to blow up. He's an architect and he wants to fucking blow up all the buildings that he made because they're not perfectly symmetrical and shit. In general, Conan succeeds in making sure that, like, a huge group of people don't get killed. But on the other hand, he's always gonna fail in, like, the first murder, stopping the first murder, right? Because someone has to die for them to have the Kya episode, the beginning of the episode, they have to have the Kya scene. Average Detective Conan scene is like this. Heh. There's some guy they don't like. He's like, heh, go away, kid. And then he says something kind of like unclear. He says some unclear information. It's like, something feels weird about this guy. And Conan is like, what? Oh my god! How could this be? And of course, Ran is there too, and she's like, eh. Ran has to be there, so she's like, yeah. Oh my god. In fairness, Conan has significantly more brain cells than Scooby-Doo. Yeah, but nobody dies around Scooby-Doo unless I've been missing the Amazing Murder episode of Scooby-Doo. Fucking hair spikes. It's the general consensus of everybody on the Japanese internet that Ran would be hot if she didn't have her hair spikes. This is the kind of speed we need on the manga. Yeah, it used to go at this speed in like the early volumes though. But I'm pretty sure that the author isn't writing most of the new content, and he's actually being forced to drag shit out. So, like, he's definitely out of his own like murder tricks at this point, right? So, I'm pretty sure he has multiple writers helping him. Early Detective Conan is fucking fire. Between like volume 1 and like volume, I don't know, 30 or so. My general opinion is that pretty much every manga series is gonna taper off after around volume 40 because you just sort of run out of ideas and energy. And Detective Conan is about the same. Detective Conan would be a great series if it actually ended at 50 volumes or so, but obviously they can't afford to do that because it's too popular and that makes too much money, so it has to go on forever. Plenty of people die in Scooby-Doo, at least in the movies anyway. Remember that time in which Shaggy got super high on meth and he fucking lost his mind and he raped Scooby and then he overdosed and died. And then they found Velma disemboweled in part of the abandoned amusement park. The gruesome corpse of Velma, who had been raped and all of her body parts had been cut off. That was fucking grisly, man. Zoinks, yeah. They would have never solved that gruesome murder case if Scrappy-Doo hadn't shown up. They should just end Conan finally and focus on the female Kumers with the Kaito Kid spin-offs. But why? It still makes money, that's the thing. The problem is that the female Kumers don't care if something is good in the broader sense of shit. All they care about is if they can come over the character couplings, so... Good luck ever getting Shogakukan to end the series. The publisher that publishes Shonen Sunday and Detective Conan and stuff is probably one of the worst publishers in terms of their general practices, so... I don't think anyone was talking about this on the American side of the internet, but there is this relatively popular female mangaka who was making something called Sekshi Tanaka-san, and it was gonna have a live action drama made of it, and the author was getting criticized by, I can't remember how it worked, but I think the author was getting criticized by the TV producers on Instagram because the author was complaining first about the TV producers like changing her story a lot, and then ultimately the manga author commits suicide because basically nobody was standing up for her, including the publishers and editors and stuff like that. And then the publisher Shogakukan, which also publishes Detective Conan, basically never actually said any kind of apology statements, and they were just pretending like, oh, this is such a huge tragedy. And then after that, all these people started talking about what a shitty publisher it was. And Shogakukan has had a lot of other issues in the past, like you probably all know Konjiki no Gashu, Gashbell, the Gashbell mangaka. The Gashbell mangaka basically cut all of his ties with the publisher because the publisher has one job, and that's to maintain the original pages of the manga. And apparently there were all these color page spreads of Gashu that went missing, and it's unclear why they've disappeared, but the theory on the internet is the editor in charge of the manga was giving pages away to women working at Kabakura cabaret clubs to impress them and stuff because he had access to the pages and shit. So the Gashbell author was like, I'm gonna settle if you write a combined statement with me that you will agree that the mission of this publishing company is to create like good manga works by cooperating with authors. Some extremely milquetoast statement he asked them to make, and Shogakukan, the publisher, completely refused to even do that. So they clearly think that they're better than the mangaka that produced money for them, and the only reason they can keep on going is because they have all these legacy authors like Takashi Rumiko and Aoyama Gosho, who's making Conan and shit like that. But everything suggests that they're a horrible fucking company. What the fuck is Love and D-Space? Is it some book talk stuff? It is living proof that women are just as horny, if not more horny than men, and we should never give them any credit for being any more sophisticated human beings. They are sad, horny creatures just like men, and they just want ikemen to tell them how beautiful they are. It's a gacha otome game. Actually, I'm surprised that there's not more gacha games directed entirely at women, because everything suggests that women are even more willing to waste their money than men. Look up tomorrow's Catch-22 LMAO. Is this another otome game I don't know about? A limited wish pool that ran from February 10th. Does it show the percentages? I'm just looking at the costumes people are pulling for right now. Women, I don't ever want to hear about how me looking at ass jiggling in Nikkei is wrong ever again. They don't actually have the percentages here, unfortunately. The whole host club chain is horrifying. That's true. The reason why there's so much prostitution in Japan right now is because there's so many host clubs. The difference between a host club for women and cabaret clubs for men, or soap lands for men, is that once men ejaculate, they don't really care about women anymore. There's a subset of men who definitely are going to soap clubs or cabaret clubs for like emotional gratification, but like 80% of men, as soon as they coom, they're just like done. They're like, I came, don't care anymore. Come and leave. But women are going to host clubs for like emotional gratification, and there's no amount of emotional gratification that can satisfy them, so they can continue to be drained of their money endlessly. You can only drain your balls so many times, but having a guy pretend that he's empathetic and sympathetic to your needs, there's no limit to that, so it's way easier to... Also, women, once they run out of money, if guys run out of money, then it's very hard for them to regain that money. But women can always go work in the soap lands. So there's the whole pipeline set up. You get them hooked on you in your host club, and then you send them to Soapland to work as a prostitute and drain the balls of the other guys. Also, giving data about your menstrual cycle to any app is a shitty idea. Don't worry, it's not like it matters. There is no faceless, ugly bastard Oji-san who cares about your menstrual cycle to impregnate you. He's not going to hack your love and deep space data. Do you hear that Hideo Kojima making Metal Gear's spiritual successor? I thought Death Stranding 2 was the spiritual successor to Metal Gear. I don't need Xi Jinping to know my gooning habits. No one's trying to use your love and deep space data to impregnate you guys, don't worry. Nobody actually cares. I think people care way too much about their leaking of their medical data. Like, when have you ever been like, oh my god, now I know the medical data about this other person? Like, who gives a fuck? Nobody cares. Like, that's just people overestimating their importance. The most interest I've seen someone show in another person's medical data in my life is when everybody was trying to figure out if Boogie faked whether he had cancer or not. That's like the only time in which people are like, show us your medical records. That, and when like people want to know if Biden is senile, which he was. But 99% of the time, nobody cares like when your menstrual cycle is, or how many times you gooned, or whether you have hemorrhoids or shit like that. And yet, people are constantly like, oh my god, there was a massive hack of this health insurance company. Now everybody knows your medical data. It's like, nobody fucking cares, dude. The most that's going to happen is they're going to use that data to like sell different drugs toward you. So just don't buy those drugs. That's it. I want to find Asmongold's dental history. There's no more teeth, guys. There's nothing to be... You can't find history about something that no longer exists. It would just be like, Asmongold never went to a dentist in the last 20 years, and then he went to the dentist once, and they were like, all of your teeth are rotting and they have to go. And he was like, oh no. And that was it. And he's probably never been to a dentist again. The absence of his dental history speaks louder than anything you could find. How about organ smuggling? Okay, so if you're living in China and the organ smugglers find out about how you have a certain blood type and you're compatible with some organ. If you're like a Falun Gong worshiper and you're living in China and they find out about that you have a compatible blood type, there is a chance they might use your medical history to cut out all of your organs. That's always a possibility, yes. But that's China. That's just Chinese things. Hashtag just Chinese things, so... I should probably go to the dentist soon. I have some bone growing behind my teeth. It shouldn't be my wisdom tooth. I was told I don't have any. My guess is it's some sort of horrifying shit. Like there's some sort of Cronenberg monster growing in the back of your head. That would be fucking sick. The Communist Scourge once again suppresses the creative minds behind Shen Yun. No. I'm sort of torn between the Falun Gong thing. For one thing, I 100% support bullying Falun Gong worshippers, but I also want to complain about China being a dystopian state in which they're probably killing Falun Gong people and taking their organs and stuff, so I don't know who I should root for. It's similar to when the Republican Party was fucking with Disney in Florida because Disney was being too leftist. It's like, I want both of them to fail. And my mother was like, I'm rooting for Disney because I hate the Republican Party. And I'm like, Mom, you really don't want to be rooting for Disney here. There are some situations in which both are wrong. You should look up companies' analysis of consumers' shopping habits and how Target used modeling and data and analytics to identify women as being pregnant, but for those same women told anyone. So, why does it matter? That just means, again, the only way these analytics are being used is to convince you to buy shit. It's not a big deal. Unless you're in China and they're stealing your organs. Then it's a little bit of a big deal. But besides that, it's fine. It's not a big deal. They're just gonna be like, hey, I noticed that you haven't had your period. Would you like to buy this baby crib? And all you have to be is like, no, spam, block, block, block. Not my problem. I'm not in Falun Gong. I think I've said this before, but the girl that I liked in high school and I went to prom with and shit like that, I believe she has become a Falun Gong worshipper. It might be a different weird Orientalist cult, but I think it was Falun Gong. She's not doing it in China, so she's not going to get her organs stolen, but she is in San Francisco, so whatever other health issues come from that in San Francisco, you can predict, you can guess, you know. Sometime it do be like that. She was always a hippie type, so... I hope it's Falun Gong and not like the Moonies. I don't think it's Moonies. I don't think she'd tie herself to Christianity, even one of the dumber versions of Christianity, so... I'm pretty sure it was some stupid hippie shit, as is often the case for people who go to Rudolf Steiner high schools. Kind of jealous you guys went to prom. We don't have that here. Yes, but if you're not a popular, attractive person like myself, you won't find a woman to go with you to prom, and then it will be a forever scar on your psyche. The PTSD of getting rejected by Stacy. And you're like, oh, Stacy, I think you're the prettiest girl in my high school. And I was hoping you would go to prom with me instead of Chad. And she's like, oh my god, don't talk to me. Baal-kun, you're so fucking creepy. You draw anime all day. I bet you jack off to anime. It's called hentai, Stacy. And it's a very advanced form of Japanese artistry. I didn't actually pay much money for my prom. I think I got a used suit or something. I can't remember. We had a tiny high school, so I went to prom for like 4 years in a row. Because like the underclassmen would go to prom too. It was pretty fun. It was a chill atmosphere. How the fuck you don't use the lasso too? I did use the lasso tool. Like, it's hard to... Like, okay. Like, it's hard to do the extremely... I don't know... minute undulations and stuff of the shape. Like, it's easy to fill shit in, but when I want a very specific outline of a character, I find it easier to use a pen. I don't know. I don't think the lasso tool is that great. On the other hand, I've been avoiding using the paint bucket tool for the last, like, 8 years. And I'm finally like, okay, I've figured out how to do the settings so it actually works. So I might warm up to the lasso tool as well. But I filled in the first half of this using the lasso tool. But then I was like, yeah, I'm good. Literally, it's hentai and it's art. I mean, if we can tape a banana to a wall and call it art, hentai is art as well, am I right? See ya. Which more painful, no choco at Valentine's Day or no prom at high school? As adults, we all have to learn to live with the pain. Alright, what am I doing here? I have to go to... I have to figure out how to get these... mess with the dots. Window, material... basic? Okay, let's first drag and dump this. Alright, what do I do if I want the dots to be farther apart? Where is the fucking menu for the tones? First, I have not used tones my entire fucking life. I hate how tones is not intuitive. Yeah, I can't even bring up the fucking menu. I think I might have to do this off stream. It's complicated stuff. Double click on it. Color settings. No. Alright, time for Google. CSP tone settings changing. Simple tone settings. It's on the right in effect. It's in the layer menu. Layer, raster layer, new layer. Oh yeah. All right, let's kill this and reset. Select. Convert to selection. Layer. New layer. Tone. Okay. Frequency. See, and now I have to figure out what numbers give me the kind of tone I want. Let's just reduce the density, maybe? I don't know. 10? Are you jogging today? Probably. I haven't slept at all because I was playing a shit ton of video games last night. I slept like 3 hours. So I have this neurological issue with my leg that is... It's not a huge difficulty, but when I don't sleep, my leg doesn't move. My left leg drags. The game's in an hour. Yeah, I have to cook tonight, so I might not be jogging. And then I might go to Planet Fitness later at night. I haven't really decided. I was playing Balatro. Oh shit. That's crazy. Let's try that again. I really do like roguelikes, which is why I have to not play them, because if I do play them, I'm gonna play them for like 8 hours. It's not really gambling. I'd say that Balatro is about like 80% of, or about like 20% of poker. 80% roguelike bullshit. And I like roguelike bullshit, so I can get easily addicted to these games. So I have installed Balatro and uninstalled it like 3 or 4 times to prevent me from playing it. But I figured I had done a hard week of drawing work, so I was allowed to have like half a day off and play video games, but... Wait, so what if I... God, that gets my trachophobia going. What if I take this and just straight up fucking shrink it? No. Can I just scale this shit down? No. Okay. Stayed away for that reason. It looks great. I kind of dread the day Carl Danvers joins Marvel Rivals. The only version of Captain Marvel I liked was the one in Dark Avengers. We have enough blonde women, that's for sure. Fill layer with whatever darkness level you want. Open layer property, set layer in grayscale. Open effect tab, set to tones. Yeah, but I don't want just gray. That's the thing. If I'm just using grays, I'm not publishing it. I'm not printing it, so I don't have to change it to tone. What I'm wanting to do is I want rough tone dots where it kind of looks like that pop art where you can clearly see the dots. Like the dots are clearly visible. I don't want it to be a grayscale for it to look like grayscale. I want it to be the dots are visible. So for them being that large is sort of what I am looking for, but I have to adjust whatever numbers I need. So why are the dots so big? We should change the angle to 90, probably. Density. Is it frequency? What about like 1? No, okay, that's... What about 12? Okay, so the higher the frequency, the smaller the dots are. Let's try 30. And then lower density, maybe like 10? Yeah. Okay, let's try that. Okay, see now this looks like a gray. That's too much now. Now this just looks like a gray, but it's sort of in the same. We're getting there. The game especially tickles the part of the brain that likes big numbers. Getting more chips and atoms in the known universe is quite awesome. I haven't gotten that far, but yesterday I had a combo in which I was able to hit like 2 million points per hand or some shit like that. So, yeah, it was going pretty well. The good thing about me is that I get bored of video games, so I'm not going to play it forever, so I don't have to worry about getting truly addicted to something. The bad part is that I just move on to another game which I'm going to play, so I basically have to force myself to stop gaming. There's no way to game while you're drawing, unfortunately. I can cope with other stuff like having anime on in the background, but there's no way to escape the fact that you can't do both drawing and gaming at the same time. Alright, let's try frequency. 30 is too high. Let's try 20? Even like 15. 20. And 15 and 20, there's a huge difference. Alright, let's try 18. Yeah, this is sort of what I'm looking for. About this amount of like dots. Like you can clearly see the dots, you know. It might be a little bit smaller than this. Maybe a little bit more frequency. I got to anti-30 and it's basically impossible at that level. Yeah, I got to anti-30. Wait, I can't remember when I got to... No, I didn't get to anti-30. I got to anti-10. I got to round 30, not anti-30. Yeah, you got way farther than me. I was super pissed because it took me so long and the game just flat out tells you, no, you can't. I mean, there's a reason why it's called endless mode, dude. They already gave you the you won message, right? I mean, what more do you want? You can't have it both ways. You can't be like, I want the game to continuously get harder and harder forever, but also the game to be like still beatable. That's the point. Anti-12 and 74 million per hand, LMAO. That's a lot. Fuck. What combos are you guys using to get those numbers? Because what I had was some Joker that had like a multiplier. I had, what was it, Yorick in the last playthrough. Was it Yorick? I think it was Yorick. Yeah, so I had Yorick and then I had a blueprint. So I basically had double Yorick. And I got to like... I had discarded enough cards on Yorick that I had gotten to a ×4 ×6 multiplier on Yorick. And I was multiplying it with the blueprint, so it was like a 6x6. And then like a bunch of other Jokers to add to the multiplier. And that was enough to get me to like 1,000,000 points per hand. But obviously, that's not enough to get into any of the deeper layers. Royal Multiplier Legendary and kept on playing flush 5s of Kings. Steel Kings plus the King Joker plus a bunch of re-trigger effects. Oh, that's right. I haven't been using any re-trigger cards. So the retrigger just it doesn't double the. I guess it doesn't double just the points. It also doubles the multipliers if the card has like a multipliers on it. I'm not someone who gets super obsessed with huge numbers, but I'm still in the sort of the honeymoon phase of Belletro, so cancel layer, new layer, tone. Okay, we're gonna try 18. Let's reduce the density to 4. We'll have the angle at 45. Maybe like 6. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. There we go. This is what the effect I kind of wanted. Like the rough dots. Where it sort of looks like a gray, but also it's very obvious there's the dot tone there. Blueprint copying the baseball Joker. Yeah, I also had the uncommon baseball Joker, I think, in the previous run, but I only had like 2 uncommons. Retriggering steel cards is super strong because it doubles your final multiplier again. Yeah, so I guess you need, like, a bunch of things that have multiplications. Half a tone airbrushi on the Acid Store. I'll check that out later. Half-tone airbrush. That might be helpful. God, there's so many little tools you can use. Alright, guys. Yeah, I have to go jogging soon to prepare for seeing the ultimate defeat of the Knicks tonight as the Pacers destroy them and crush the hope and dreams of the New York fan base. See you around, guys. Good night. Have a nice night.